All right, welcome to Talking Investing. I'm Tom, and as always, this is not financial advice. Today, I have a special video for everybody. First of all, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. So I hope you're getting to enjoy some time off and some time with friends and family. In the meantime, I have put together my list. I've actually updated my list of the top 5 Bitcoin miners that I think are most likely to survive an extended crypto winter. So this is a list I originally put out about 2 months ago in the middle of October. So I'm updating this list. There are some changes. 2 of the top 5 have fallen out. We have 2 new entries. One entry on this list is a company I've never talked about. Stay tuned for that. And remember to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Also, please smash the like button if you would. And lastly, if you're interested, you can join the channel by hitting the join button. It's right next to the subscribe button on the YouTube page. If you join, you become a member, and members get some members-only content. We do a once-a-week members-only live stream. In addition to that, the members get to pick a video each week for me to do a deep dive on. So we'd love to have you there. Let's talk about the top 5 Bitcoin miners that, in my opinion, are most likely to survive a crypto winter. And I'm coming at this list as if we're going to have, an extended crypto winter, even from this point. I believe we're already deep into a crypto winter, and, we could turn the corner at any time, but we don't know. If this goes on for 6 more months, or 9 more months, or 12 more months, these are the companies that I think can weather that type of storm. So let's get to the list. I'm going to start with the 2 that fell off of the list. Now, this doesn't mean I'm worried about these 2 companies, but there are 2 other companies that improved, and something changed with each one of these companies as well that for me makes it no longer in the top 5. They could work their way back. I will update this list continuously as new information comes to light. Okay, so the 2 that have fallen off the list, on the original list, Hive was number 4 and Marathon was number 5. The new information that has happened since the last time I made this list is, first of all, for Hive blockchain. I'm still highly confident in Hive blockchain, but they did not report their Bitcoin hodl position at November 30th in their monthly operational update. And to me, that was an anomaly. They always report that. It's also an important piece of the puzzle because Hive is a strength of balance sheet play for me. So, if I don't know what's going on their balance sheet, then to me, I lose a little bit of the confidence and conviction that I had. So Marathon took on a bunch of debt after I made the top 5 list last time. So they took on $50 million of debt, and then they took on another $50 million that was secured by their Bitcoin. They're just in a little bit different position. Again, I'm not pressing the panic button on Marathon, but the debt that they previously had was so spectacular that really it almost functioned as equity, and now they've taken on some more traditional debt. So for me, for that reason, they're not in the top 5 anymore. So number 1 on my list is Riot. They were number 2 on my previous list. They're trading down to $3.68. That's way down from where we were when we last checked this. Their book value is almost $1.3 billion. Their market cap is $615 million. They are now the largest market cap Bitcoin miner publicly traded in North America. They did pass Marathon, but you'll see that leaves them trading still at only 0.5 book value. More importantly, they have a 4-to-1 current ratio. They have $476 million in current assets. That leaves them with a 4-to-1 current ratio. And then lastly, they have 0 debt. They are by market cap the biggest Bitcoin mining company of them all. They're by production in the top 3. So this obviously leaves them in a very good position. They raised all of their money through equity. So at the time, that did hurt their stock a little bit because people didn't like the dilution. But now here we sit deep into a crypto winter, and having 0 debt on your balance sheet is a very good thing. So that's my number 1 spot. My number 2 spot is BitDigital. So they were number 3 on the previous list. They moved up 1 spot. This is a company that I'm really looking at them to survive the crypto winter, and I'm looking at their strength of their balance sheet. So as far as their future prospects, this is not one of my big positions. So don't get confused with this list. There's a lot of different top 5 lists. This is not the top 5 stocks with the most potential, but to me, this is the top 5 stocks with the least risk out of all the Bitcoin miners. So BitDigital is a position that I think is, comparatively speaking, lower risk than their peers. These are all high risk plays because the entire Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining industry is extremely volatile, and you guys have seen that. But when we look at these balance sheets, you'll see some of these companies are set up to survive a rather long crypto winter if that's what ends up happening. So BitDigital, their book value is $158 million. Their market cap is $50 million. So they're trading at 0.3 book value. So every Bitcoin miner on this list is trading at less than book value. So that's one indication of, you can see just how beat up these stocks are. But more importantly, current assets, $68 million. Current liabilities, $3 million. That is a 20-to-1 current ratio. So this company is absolutely rock solid. Now, they're a much, much smaller company that Riot Blockchain is, and they got a lot more work to do to try to scale up to get to where I would hope they would want to go in the future. But you can see from a balance sheet perspective, unless they take some crazy risks, they are in very good shape. This is one of the safer bets in a very unsafe sector. This is not financial advice. I'm trying to give you guys the facts, and you can be the judge. And please let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with this list, if you think that there's somebody not on here that should be on here, or vice versa. I would love to hear other people's opinions. This is the top 5 that I've come up with, and I've really tried to focus on not so much who's going to have the best 2023, but who is going to survive 2023. Okay, coming in at number 3 on my list right now is HUT 8. So they were previously number 1 on my list. So they've dropped a little bit. They are still on the list. They're still a rock solid company to me, but they have had a few bumps in the road. They're having a situation right now where one of their mining facilities, which represents about a quarter of their mining, is shut down right now, and they're in mediation right now with the energy company to try and see if they can resolve that and get that set back up. So that is not the end of the world, but it does ding them a little bit from where they were when we looked at them a few months ago. Having said that, their book value is $494 million. They have the largest stack of unencumbered Bitcoin out of any Bitcoin miner in the industry. Their current market cap's $169 million, so you can see that's trading at 0.3 book to market cap. Current assets, $265 million. Current liabilities, $27.7 million. So that is a 10-to-1 current ratio. I mean, these are spectacular current ratios. Now, they do have some long-term debt, but it's $17 million. So even with all of their current liabilities and all of their long-term debt, they're still at a very high ratio of assets to liabilities and current assets to total liabilities. So I dropped them to number 3, but they're still, to me, this is a rock solid company, and they look like they are in great position to survive a crypto winter in the year 2023 if that's the way this ends up happening. Okay, coming in at number 4 on the list is Cypher. So they have not been on any of my lists all year. They really haven't even started mining Bitcoin until very, very recently. Even as of now, at the end of December 2022, they have not put out a monthly operational report, so they haven't reported how many Bitcoin they've mined at all. For most of the year, that number was 0. Even on their September financial statements, their revenue was 0. So if I just take a look at their balance sheet, their book value is $383 million. Their current market cap is $133 million. So again, they're also trading at 0.3 their book value. Current assets of $69.7 million. Current liabilities of $19.6 million. That is a 4-to-1 current ratio. So, not the astronomical ratios that we saw in the previous couple, but very, very solid. In addition to that, once again, this company has 0 long-term debt. So these are the companies, to me, obviously you can see a trend forming. Very small or no long-term debt, a very solid current ratio, a strong balance sheet, a lot of liquidity. These are the things that are going to get some of these companies through whatever is to come. So you'll see on December 20th, Cypher just put out a press release. Essentially, they're finally talking about mining some Bitcoin here. And they're talking about some pretty high hopes. I'm just going to read this sentence right here. Over the past 12 months, Cypher has deployed 165 megawatts of capacity and expects to ramp up to 267 megawatts in early 2023. The company expects to achieve 6 exahash of self-mining across the portfolio in early 2023. This would be a monumental jump. They're not even on the top 10 list right now as far as production goes at all. And if they're at 6 exahash by March 31st, that would be a monumental improvement. It's not going to take a lot of cash for them to get from here to there, according to them and according to their plan. So we will have to wait and see what happens. This is still a company that has not put out a single operational report, so I would feel more comfortable if they told us, hey, in December we mined whatever it is, 100 Bitcoin, 300 Bitcoin. I don't even care what the number is. I just wanted to know that they're going to start issuing monthly reports and letting us know what's going on. That's the only thing I would be waiting for, but at least this is some information versus the no information they were giving us. Lastly, number 5 on this list, and they were previously not on the list at all, is Iris Energy. I left their information blank as of September 30th, 2022, and the reason is, subsequent to that, they have done a complete restructuring of their entire business. So there are a few numbers that we do know, and I'm going to show you some of those numbers. The first number is long-term debt is now zero. It was over $100 million. They got rid of all of their long-term debt. So obviously, to me, that positions them in a much, much better place because that debt was coming due and it was going to start rolling over them and causing a problem. Well, fortunately, the way they set up their debt, they were really able to just walk away from their debt. Now, they did have to decrease their operating capacity quite a bit, so there was an exchange for that. But they're still mining Bitcoin. They did put an operational report out in November, and you'll see their average operating hash rate was 1.445 exahash, and they mined 151 Bitcoin. So that's way down from the previous month, but they're still mining Bitcoin. And they're planning on getting back up to 2 exahash quickly. So if we look at their investor presentation that they put out in December after this big restructuring, you're going to see under the column liquidity here, $47 million of cash and no debt. $75 million of prepayments to Bitmain, and those are deposits on machines that they're going to get. So that's about $120 million versus no long-term debt. So that doesn't mean they have zero liabilities, but their liabilities other than the current portion of their long-term debt were only about $20 million on their last financial statements. So with this liquidity column, $47 million in cash, $100 million B. Riley equity facility that they can use if they have to. So I would hope they're not going to dig into that, but it's there if they need it. And then they're going to sell a little bit more of their miners. They have 2.4 capacity right now. They're going to go down to 2.0 exahash capacity. So they were only operating at 1.44. So a lot of those machines are already offline anyway. And then opportunities. So they're saying for another $31 million, sometime in the year 2023, they can get themselves up to 5.4 exahash of self-mining. So there's a lot of potential there. They continue to mine. You know, they did mine 150 Bitcoin. So it's not like they've gone away, but their debt is completely gone. This reorganizes their balance sheet in a way where they go from a company that I was nervous about to a company that was able to wash their hands of 100% of their long-term debt, and that leaves them in a good spot. So you can see their current market cap is $65 million. We don't know what their book value is. It was much, much higher than that in their last financial statements. It was 3 or 4 or 5 times that. They're somewhere between 0.3 and 0.5 book value, which is where all the rest of these are. That would be my estimate. Same thing with their current ratio. They should have a very strong current ratio. And again, most importantly to me, long-term debt is now zero. So they went from having over $100 million in long-term debt to having no long-term debt. So for those reasons, I think Cypher and Iris Energy have moved ahead of Hive and Marathon for the time being. So Hive and Marathon dropped out of my top 5, and that doesn't mean that I'm worried about them. It's just they're not in my top 5 anymore. So this is the new top 5 according to the latest and greatest information that I have, and obviously this is absolutely just in my opinion, so this is not financial advice. Please be careful investing, and I would love to hear your comments below. If you think I've missed a company or I have a company on here that doesn't belong, let me know. So if you made it this far, thanks so much for watching. Please have a happy holidays. Everybody be safe, and I will see you in the next video.